Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for spending your Tuesday afternoon with me, an hour to learn about Comdata's virtual card program and how we're able to turn your AP department into a revenue generator. Really excited to talk with you about our program, and then also I do have the pleasure of having one of my customers with us today, Reynolds Construction. Again, my name is Whitney Staudacher. I am a relationship sales manager with Comdata. I've been with the company for over 5 years and a little over 2.5 years in this role. I have Amy Reynolds and Danielle Bailey from Reynolds Construction. They are out of Orleans, Indiana. So I will turn it over to Amy and Danielle to introduce themselves briefly.
This is Amy Reynolds, and I'm the accounts payable in Orleans, Indiana with Reynolds Construction, and I've been working in AP for 20 years.
This is Danielle Bailey with Reynolds Construction, and I work out of the Orleans office as well, and this is going on my 16th year with Reynolds, and I'm the controller.
Excellent. Thanks, ladies. Thank you again for joining today. Before we get into our conversation with Reynolds Construction, I did want to do a quick overview of what virtual card is, its benefits of using virtual card to pay your vendors, and also Comdata's rebate program. So what is a virtual credit card? I'm sure most of you all at some point have heard about a virtual credit card, or this may be the first time that you're hearing what a virtual credit card is to pay your vendors. So it is like an ACH, but better, we like to say. It is a single-use card that's issued a specific dollar amount to pay your vendors. It does have a 16-digit account number tied to it since it's a credit card. It is a safe and secure payment. The reason being for it being a secure payment that we're able to pay your vendor is because the 16-digit account number changes. So the first 6 digits always stay the same, and the last 10 digits change. It is a very timely way that we're able to pay your vendor, and also you are able to receive an electronic remittance attached to the invoice when this payment is reconciled. We do integrate into your normal AP workflow. A lot of questions from some of my customers come up that, are we changing the way your AP department functions? Absolutely not. We're just adding another payment type. So in lieu of your checks and ACH, we're adding that virtual credit card option. Okay, next slide. Thank you. And the benefit of utilizing virtual card to pay your vendor is what we're talking about today, is how we can turn your accounts payable department into a revenue generator. The main way that we're able to do this is by every dollar amount in spend that you're paying your vendor this way, you're able to receive a rebate back. Since this is a credit card and it is running through the credit card network, we're able to then give you that rebate in turn. If you're familiar with a cashback option, that's similar to what this is. The next way that we're able to do that is minimize costs. I'm sure this $5.14 is quite the eyesore, and it actually is the average cost of paying an invoice by a check. So right off the bat, we're able to reduce that cost associated with printing, postage, processing, and then also the time that it takes to pay a vendor through a check. The ease of administration, virtual cards are much easier and faster to process than a paper check. As many of you know, and Amy and Danielle will tell their story, they started with virtual card last year in February before the world shut down. So This option eliminates that off the bat through an automated processing and then also through reconciliation. And lastly, enhanced security. So we're able to reduce the risk of check fraud. And because this payment is a single-use card, we're able to lock down system controls as well. And really briefly wanted to touch base on Comdata's rebate program. This is paid on actual volume. The question I get also asked frequently, is there a minimum that we have to reach in order to receive the rebate? Absolutely not. The example that I'd like to give you guys today, just to keep it very easy, is if you have $1 million in volume that you spend to pay your vendors via virtual card at 1% or 100 basis points, you're able to receive $10,000 back in a rebate paid monthly. And once again, we're able to reduce the cost of check processing, mitigate potential fraud, and streamline your AP process. Also with vendor enrollment support with worldwide acceptance. And Trey, next slide. So now I'd like you guys to hear from Amy and Danielle firsthand. Like I mentioned, they've been using our virtual card program since February of 2020. And today I just would really like to hear from their story, their testimonial of how they've been working through virtual card and how it's actually been a success for their business. So let's jump right in. Amy and Danielle, what made you choose Comdata over another bank or competitor?
We were already using Comdata purchasing cards, so we were familiar.
Okay, great. So this wasn't much of a transition off the bat. You were familiar with how Comdata ran in sense of our rebate program and the transactions and data that you were able to receive beforehand.
Correct.
Excellent. Can you explain your business wins since using virtual card? If you could touch base on rebate, ease of our program, the time saved that you are having to pay your vendors now via virtual card instead of check.
Yeah, I know the rebates are always a nice thing to see every month, and we never really thought of AP as a revenue generator. And I mean, in the past year, we've had at least probably close to like $140,000 of rebates just come through that, you know, we wouldn't typically have if we hadn't gone with this program. So it's like, it's nice to have those every month.
Absolutely. I mean, that's huge. And I'm not sure exactly what you guys are using with that rebate, or if you're just using it to pay for other things, but that's a huge testament to just by paying your vendors, you're able to receive that money back every month.
Right, yes, it's very nice.
And also a common objection we hear from prospects or customers, Amy and Danielle, learning about virtual card is they don't want to disrupt the current relationship with their vendor by switching forms of payment. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience and how it's been once your vendors are enrolled and being paid through Comdata's virtual card?
Yes, and like Whitney said, you know, the pandemic hit about the time right after we got on this program, so it was perfect timing for us because we were already seeing ACH fraud and, you know, checks lost in the mail, that type of thing, and then it only got worse. And our vendors liked being able to pull their payments at their convenience any time of day. And they received their funds sooner than waiting on the check or a lost check in the mail or someone stole it out of the, mailbox. And, so many people began working from home that they were just able to pull that payment on a Saturday or a Sunday or whenever, and they loved it.
Hey, Whitney, we actually have a couple questions that have come through, and this might be a good time to ask as y'all are going through the questions. So the first question, and it's actually a two-part, what is the cost of us per virtual check, or what is the cost to get started using the virtual check?
Great question. There isn't a cost associated per virtual card. The cost of the program, we can absolutely talk about that after our call and get with your relationship sales manager to talk pricing. So that can be side tabled if that's okay.
That was the last question. Go ahead.
Excellent. Thanks, Trace. What has been something unexpected, Amy or Danielle, that you experienced while utilizing virtual cards?
Well, in the beginning, when Danielle approached me about the new payment option, of course, I was a little concerned and hesitant, but because my main goal is to keep my vendors happy, and like I said, I've been doing this 20 years, so I know my vendors. We have a lot of the same vendors, so, I was worried about upsetting that relationship, and I was pleasantly surprised that several of my regular vendors actually knew more about the program than I did, and they were already familiar and they liked the option. So that was, just a win for me.
That's so excellent to hear. We have many testimonials from customers being on virtual card and their experience. But every customer and industry is different. So hearing that from you, Amy, that your vendors knew about virtual card and were open to the idea of being paid this way is such a great thing to hear. And switching gears a little bit, how long had it been that Reynolds was looking to automate your AP process?
I don't think we were really looking to automate the AP process. We kind of learned about the virtual card from already being a Comdata customer, and it sounded appealing to us, so we looked into it more.
Okay, excellent. And what was the deciding factor when you moved forward in November? I know your vendors.
I know
you started paying your vendors in February, but that initial start time.
Yeah, we had took it to our executive vice presidents, and they were a little hesitant, like Amy mentioned, not wanting to disrupt our relationships with our customers. They were worried about special pricing that they already had, if that would change anything. So we decided to start with a few vendors and see how it went. And we didn't have any issues with pricing or vendors not liking it or anything like that. So that's how we kind of decided to finally go. We finally convinced them that we should try it out.
Excellent. So you started with a few of your vendors that you knew either were familiar with this program already, and then how long from, I guess, that pilot group, then did you roll out the rest of your vendors?
Yeah, we kind of did the campaign where the vendors we knew already accepted those that we had. We started with them, and then we sent out letters and requested that some of our other vendors sign up if they wanted to. That's kind of how we rolled everything out.
Excellent. And with that, how did you guys prepare for the implementation process of Comdata integrating with your ERP system?
Well, we had like training calls with our software with the CGC, and that actually was very smooth, you know, with our system, because there was a lot there. We did have to go in and enter, you know, and enroll each vendor, but that wasn't that much time that was spent on that, because a lot of the stuff with our system with CGC computer guidance, it actually auto-filled once you stated that you wanted it to be that type of payment option versus a check or ACH, then it just automatically filled that in. And I also got with all our employees, you know, the project managers and people that actually work with vendors as well, and my AP processors, to go over the new options. And I'm here at the corporate office, so we kind of let it be where if there's any questions or concerns, that they would all come through me and my assistant here in Orleans. So we wouldn't have so many different people talking to the vendors about it.
Excellent. So you guys beforehand mapped out who would be, you know, the administrator on this virtual card project, and who would be answering questions from vendors if there were any. And through that transition, it just sounds like it ran very smoothly.
That's correct.
Hey, Whitney, we had another.
Go ahead, Trey.
Oops, sorry, we had another question come in from the audience, and Amy and Danielle, I think this one's for you. What is the benefit to your vendors from using the virtual card? I know you touched on it a little bit, but didn't know if you wanted to elaborate a little bit more.
I think the benefit is like I said, that they can do it. They can pull the payment any time of day after we process my check run. I have a weekly check run, and as soon as the very next day, once we run the file, they can pull that immediate. And I know we have, last year especially, we've seen some delays with ACH, and we also, like I said, with the mail. So it was just a quick, within minutes after they receive that file. You know how if you go to the store or counter and purchase something, how quick your credit card can be, you know, pulled and the funds are out of your account immediately. You know, it's just nice that the vendor has that power instead of waiting on banking or AP to do that for you.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great, Amy. I know that you were a customer of Comdata's prior to utilizing virtual card. So this question may be different for some, but what were your goals for rolling out virtual card for Reynolds Construction? And how were you able to make this a priority over other projects that you may have been working on at the time? I know we started this rollout in November, right before the holidays. So would love to hear your experience of how you were able to prioritize this to make us start in February.
Yeah, I feel like our main goal was to enroll as many vendors as we could without disrupting relationships so that we could earn the rebates. I know the rebates is a nice incentive for the program, and then also to help reduce the amount of checks that we were sending out on a weekly basis. And I know with the time of year when we kind of got started in November, and then we usually have our audit in January, so I think it probably got pushed a little bit down. But as soon as we finished the audit, we were rolling on getting this started, and we got it done pretty quickly.
I think so too. I mean, once we moved through it, you know, getting past the holidays and such in the first of the year, it definitely ran very smoothly. So thank you for that. We touched base on this a little bit when you all started during the pandemic. And you mentioned it was a huge benefit to have virtual card running because of issues that the Postal Service had delivering mail. Your vendors were able to be paid more frequently and in a timely manner. So what would you say to the group if a customer or prospect is on the fence to start implementing virtual cards? Why do you think the time would be now?
I feel like I said, that there's more people that work from home than ever, and some will never go back, from what I understand, with different corporations like John Deere and Caterpillar that I deal with. You know, some of them, their plan is to not, they're going to continue to work from home for a while. So I feel like you might as well get on board now, because it's so convenient for those people and those groups that are working from home. And, you know, like I said, it's at their convenience where they can pull the payment. And I feel like there's more fraud in AP than I've ever seen before, even in the last 2 or 3 years. Even with ACH and email, I know our IT department's constantly filtering that. And, you know, you can get an email with somebody wanting to change your banking, you know, and you really have to be careful. We follow up with phone calls, and there's just no need with this option. It's just so much safer. So I feel like the time is now.
I mean, that is a huge testimonial, just to know that, you know, because there's other things going on in everyday life. There's other projects that we're looking at that may seem like a bigger priority, but the end goal is to be able to pay your vendors efficiently and faster. So, and talking about check fraud, that is also something that, like you mentioned, we don't have to worry about. So thank you for that. I need to hear from you on that experience.
You're welcome.
Hey, Whitney, there was a.
Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt again. There was another question that came in. Danielle and Amy, can you give us an idea of what percentage of your vendors were already enrolled in the program?
I would say maybe. Go ahead.
I was just trying to think of how many were. I know we were surprised at the number that actually already accepted payment that way, but I can't remember the exact number.
Right. I was going to say maybe 45%, 40% possibly, you know, that like you said, it was very surprising to me.
Excellent. Sorry, Whitney, go ahead.
No, that's okay. And to touch a little bit on that for the group, we do have a database, if you will, of vendors that are already being enrolled through Comdata. And so when we are looking at bringing on a new customer to pay via virtual card, we're able to look at current vendors today and see what vendors are already being paid this way. So it's an easier way for Reynolds Construction to know that off the bat, we are able to turn these current check vendors into a virtual card vendor. So just a little bit more information on that sense.
Yeah, and Whitney, so
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Question came in. So each of our vendors will have to enroll in the program if they are not currently already enrolled?
Correct, yes. And the way that process, how we are able to do that, we have a vendor enrollment team that is in-house in Nashville, Tennessee, or Brentwood, Tennessee. And we have about 65 callers who are assigned these campaigns once they come through. And each vendor on your campaign list is called individually. So we are not going and enrolling vendors without talking to them first and making sure that they actually do accept MasterCard payment to be paid this way. So there, and Amy and Danielle can talk through this a little bit too on their experience. But if there is a reason that that vendor may not accept, we let the customer know, and then the customer can decide if we still want to go forward with this enrollment or not, or just keep it as a check for ACH payment. So the long and short answer of that, yes, we do call each and every one of your vendors.
And Whitney, if I recall, you guys, I think with Reynolds, what we did was I wanted to have more of a personal touch with several of my vendors, so you gave us that option when you sent us the listings of the vendors that were already enrolled and not, that I could actually be the one that presented it to my vendor personally.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much. It's been, a lot has happened since February of last year. Thank you for reminding me of that. Yes, that is an option. So depending on your relationship with your vendors, you are able to reach out to them first. There is a letter campaign that will go out to all of your vendors beforehand to let them know that Reynolds Construction is moving to this new form of payment. And then the customer has the option to reach out to them as well. And how was that experience, Amy or Danielle, taking it into your own hands, if you will, to let your vendors know that you are changing to a virtual credit card?
I mean, they were very accepting. I mean, I think they liked having the options. We do have vendors that, continue to have ACH, but then I have had some switch over because of fraud. They were, hacked themselves. So they liked having that change of the number each time. Like you said, the first 6 digits are the same, but they like that there's a different, just a safety feature that they liked versus ACH banking.
Absolutely. Excellent. Thank you. And we have 2 questions left for you, Amy and Danielle, and then we can open it up to any questions from the group. But what criteria was most important to have at the user level that may not have been the same at the CFO level or decision-making level?
I think I needed to understand how it was going to affect my weekly check runs, in the process that it took currently. And like I mentioned that, communicating with all my other AP staff about the new process and the procedures, and that, I would be the administrator over it. So if there was any concerns or questions, they needed to come through me, so they didn't hear it from a different person each time. Basically, it was minimal effort for us to get it up and running, and I was amazed at how quick. It was just like another payment option. My system generated either ACH, live check, or now this type of virtual card payment, and it went really smooth.
Excellent. So there wasn't any change on your guys' end when we did integrate, when Comdata did integrate with Reynolds. You were able to have that extra form of payment or the additional form of payment and then continue to pay your vendors this way.
Right, and we didn't really change any way that we paid our vendors. We did our same process and procedures that we always did. It was just a different choice of how the payment was actually going to be processed and paid.
Wonderful. Were you able to keep your same check run? Was it weekly?
Yes, nothing changed.
Wonderful. Love to hear that. Having been on the program now, Amy and Danielle, for about a year, a little over a year, what would you tell yourself at the beginning of this process now, if you could?
I think one of the things with me is I would reconcile what we paid, since the reports on the Comdata website are great. They're very helpful, and if you can see if a vendor's pulled the card, if it's not, just different things like that. So, utilize those, and Amy can attest to this, but the customer service is wonderful. Vendor support, just usually within hours, minutes, you know, you get a response same day, typically.
And for me, like I said, it was minimal time and effort, and being an AP for like 20 years, AP has never been able to generate income. I'm the one that always is spending the money, you know. So it was a really nice option to be able to earn my keep, I felt like, with minimal time and effort to get it up and running. And like Danielle said, customer support, I was a little worried, you know, how quick of a turnaround we were going to have when we had enrollment. And it was amazing how quick someone would email me back with any concerns that I had. They would answer the question. I had vendor support. I had vendor enrollment. Anything that I had, they were able to help me. And it was just such a quick response. And you get your own, like, you know, your team person from the beginning that's there for you, like Whitney. So it's just nice to know you always have somebody to, and vendors even can call, you know, for customer support too, you know, and they have the numbers, and they are always, my vendors are always happy that they get a quick call back. So basically I would tell myself not to be too concerned or worried, because it's really a great way to pay my vendors.
And you've been able to see such success too. I mean, that's something in itself that I'm so happy for you guys, that you've been able to have a successful program, being in it only for a little over a year. And it'll only continue to grow and stay efficient. And your vendor relationships will hopefully improve, knowing that, you know, they can count on a payment coming to them with no issues like they've had before or previously. So I'm really, really pleased to hear how things have been going for you guys.
Hey, Whitney, we've had 2 questions come in. Danielle and Amy, why did you choose this system over a point incentive program such as Amex?
We already use Comdata, so we hadn't really been looking into any kind of system like this, so we just kind of went with what we were familiar with.
Gotcha. The other question, and Whitney, I think this might be for you, how do these codes integrate with McLeod?
What was the question?
How do these codes integrate with McLeod?
So are you talking of the virtual card into McLeod?
Yes, the integration within McLeod. That's what it sounds like.
And each ERP system is different, and Comdata integrates with hundreds of ERP systems very seamlessly. And first, we would receive a vendor file of your current vendors that you're paying today via check or ACH. And the integration on the back end, we have a whole implementation team that will work through it. But the first step would be receiving the vendor file to see how many matches off the bat that we would have, and then what the success of your enrollment program could be.
That's all the questions I have at the moment.
Thanks, Trey. Amy and Danielle, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
I can't think of anything.
I can't either, other than, you know, that the customer support is a big bonus.
So we do have another question that just came in. Or a couple coming in now. How is the account funded? Are payments withdrawn directly and immediately from your bank account? That's question number one.
I'm not sure how everybody's works, but we, when Amy does her check run, we get a file that shows how much is Comdata, and then we fund that on our, I think there's different options. You can remind me, but we chose the option that we would pre-fund it. So we send it just like we would our ACH payroll file, our ACH AP file. And so it's funded to Comdata, and then the cards are sent out so everybody can start pulling their funds.
And there, to add to that, there is an option to have it pre-funded or actually to have a credit line as well. So those are the two options that virtual card can function on.
Excellent. Question number two, Amy and Danielle, do you use VCAP to pay any international vendors or to pay invoices generated by your international divisions, if you have them?
We do not. We have just one, maybe two international vendors, so we're not big in the international payment area.
Okay, Whitney, do you want to touch on that for a minute?
Yes, not to say that it is possible to pay your vendors internationally. We would have to set up virtual card a little bit differently than how Reynolds has it, but that is an option for you all to utilize virtual card in that sense.
So right now, that's the last question we have. If there's any other questions out there, please don't hesitate to ask as we start to wrap up here. Whitney, from your standpoint, do you kind of want to summarize and wrap things up as we wait to see if things are if any other questions are going to come in?
Yes, absolutely. So in brief, I just wanted again to thank Reynolds for being available today to talk with you all. I know it's nicer to hear a testimonial firsthand from a customer than me just talking to you all. But virtual card is something near and dear to me. I think it's a great program that Comdata has. Not only is it a huge benefit for the customer to receive a rebate back, like Amy and Danielle mentioned, normally the AP department is sending out money, and finally you're able to get some revenue back to the company, and just for paying your vendors a different way. So to me, it is something that our customers should move forward with when they do have the chance. I know there's other things that keep customers from saying yes to at that point, other priorities, but it is a program that you will really see ease of efficiency to pay your vendors, and hearing from Reynolds that the vendor relationship will actually strengthen and you will not have to worry about check fraud or other areas that may have been coming up in the AP department that were an issue prior to changing over to virtual cards. So if I could say one thing, if you're on the fence, get with your relationship sales manager to talk about questions. We're here for you to answer any hesitations or objections that may come up. And I wish the best success for Reynolds as they continue using our program, and you all in the future too.
All right, and at this moment, we don't have any other questions, so I think that will be think that's all.
Thank you, Trey, Amy, and Danielle. I really appreciate your time today, and everyone that has been on the call this afternoon. Thank you all for joining, and have a wonderful Tuesday.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.